All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We are back with another video, and this time it's fresh finds for early September. Recently, there was a sort of a pop-up record sale in town, which was really nice to see. Quite a surprise, and it was outdoors, but everyone was, physical distancing as best we could, wearing masks, that sort of thing. So that was really nice to see. And also, I did pick up some used vinyl from the weekend from the record store day drop, and also some finds from August that I haven't had a chance to get to. So let's get right to it. First off, gotta love the VC. Dan's channel, Dots and Loops, which is a great channel. Do check out Dan if you haven't done so already. Recently showed this first album, and I hadn't heard about the album offhand. It's not an album I necessarily would have seeked out, or if I'd seen it, I might have passed it along. But he raved about the album, talked about its kind of progressive, kind of Moog keyboard kind of thing going on, and yeah, so that's the great thing about the VC. When they're showing albums that look and of course sound interesting. And he's right. This is a trippy album. Now, Jan Hammer, certainly I'm familiar with that artist. He would later go on to do the Miami Vice theme. Jan Hammer would work with, of course, Jeff Beck Group. But this is Jerry Goodman and Jan Hammer like children, and it's kind of an odd cover for what's a pretty proggy keyboard driven album. But this is really an interesting album. It is quite trippy, and I was really happy to pick this up. And as he mentioned, usually you get it reasonably priced. I found this for $8, and I probably would have passed on it, but having seen Dan's video just recently, where he raved about it, so I picked it up and absolutely enjoyed it. Really neat album for sure, and that's the great thing about the VC, especially showing albums. Like when you're showing the album cover, chatting about it, then it gets kind of implanted in your brain, and then when you're looking through albums, like, oh, I remember when somebody was talking about this album or showed this album. It's amazing how that helps for sure. So thanks, Dan, from Dots and Loops on that one. Picked up a Donovan album. This is Donovan, and the title of the album is Bara Bajagal, I believe. I'm probably not pronouncing that very well. That's the first track. And in fact, speaking of the Jeff Beck Group with Jan Hammer, that title track is with the Jeff Beck Group on this album. And I do like Donovan when he's getting into the mid to late 60s, going from the folk. I do love the folk stuff, but I do also like the sort of psychedelic and more sort of rock style of Donovan. Another great album that includes the wonderfully trippy song Atlantis. So, and I just love this sort of Victorian style cover. And yeah, this was in great shape, and this on the Epic label from 1969. Okay, moving along, we have got Paul Revere and the Raiders, and this is Just Like Us from Where the Action Is. Now, Where the Action Is was a TV show. It was a Dick Clark TV show that Paul Revere and the Raiders were featured on. Here's a group that I think deserves maybe another look or a second chance. They often get dismissed, especially with these wonderful uniforms that they used to wear, but they had a really nice sound, good psych pop, sort of garage to psych pop sound. And there's a number of covers on this one, including Catch the Wind and Can't Get No Satisfaction. But the title track, there's the song Stepping Out and Just Like Me. They're rocking pretty good here. And yeah, so I was pretty happy to pick this up. And this on Stereo Columbia 2i label. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Worth a second look. And there's another band you can usually find their stuff pretty reasonably priced, for sure. Okay, happy to pick up Melissa Etheridge. I believe her second album, Brave and Crazy. I've had this on CD, and this was from 1989 on Island Records. And as always, she's rocking pretty hard on this. Some lovely ballads on this. You Can Sleep While I Drive is a lovely song. But the last track, I've always been a fan of the track Royal Station 416. And Bono plays a harmonica. Bono is featured on harp on that song. And that is it's just a rocking way to wrap up the album. And this has the original inner sleeve, which is nice, and of course the Island label where they had the buildings look like the palm tree, which I always thought was kind of neat. Island was always very creative with their labels. So Melissa Etheridge. Okay, Taj Mahal. Picked this up for $5. I couldn't believe when I was looking at the price. I'm like, a Taj Mahal album for $5. Usually they go for a little bit more. Album's in great shape, and I do believe this is his fourth album. This is Taj Mahal, Happy Just to Be Like I Am. What a wonderful title. And with Taj Mahal, it's another wonderful album. It's a nice gatefold. I do love this. And again, Jack is in very nice shape, and the album sounds great on Columbia. Taj Mahal. Okay. Billy Joel. I didn't have this on vinyl. I have this on CD. I have the deluxe CD that has a nice live performance. But Billy Joel and The Stranger. Now, of course, we've heard these songs a million times, but man, what a great album from start to finish. I still don't get tired of hearing Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I know it's such a long song, but I enjoy it every time. But and you know the sax playing on Just the Way You Are, just beautiful. But includes the sleeve. But what a monumental album. What a huge record when it was released. Billy Joel and The Stranger. How about Wanda Jackson in person? This is Wanda Jackson recorded at Mr. Lucky's in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a big Wanda Jackson fan. You know, if I come across her stuff on vinyl, I'll definitely pick it up. I just love her. She has such a unique sound to her voice. She had the hit "Party," which was also covered by Elvis Presley. "Let's Have a Party" is featured on here, and Wanda Jackson obviously had the country leaning. So she also does a cover of "If I Had a Hammer" on this one, and also "Silver Threads and Golden Needles." But really nice. This is on Capitol. And this, I believe, yes, has the original sleeve. All the fun stuff you could pick up on Capitol. And there you go, Wanda Jackson. Okay, Bruce Cockburn, some early Bruce Cockburn. This is Bruce Cockburn, and the album is Sun Wheel Dance. This, I believe, is his third or fourth album. Bruce Cockburn, his early stuff is very introspective. It's often just vocally, just him, and then guitar accompany it. And then sometimes it's band, but it's only on a couple of tracks. This is really folk introspective, singer-songwriter, really introspective stuff. This is stuff you would, you know, could listen to like in the dead of winter, that sort of thing. It's just got that really, you know, introspective feel to it. And Gatefold that has the lyrics in both English and French that Bruce Cockburn often has, although he sings predominantly in English, and then on the True North label. Yeah, so some early Bruce Cockburn from the early 70s. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We have the Jeremy Spencer Band. Of course, Jeremy Spencer from the original Fleetwood Mac band, or Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac solo album. And when I was flipping through the used records for this one, got this for $5. A friend of mine had sort of warned me about this album. Interesting, when I was flipping through, he was able to pick up a Danny Kerwin album for $5. I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, Jeremy Spencer Band. Side one is really disco. This came out in '79, and side one, if I played them in the sides in the right order, side one was like really disco. I couldn't believe it, and it just doesn't work. Again, it's late '70s, but then side two kind of sounds like Fleetwood Mac in the '70s. So if Jeremy Spencer was still part of Fleetwood Mac through the late '70s, how would it have sound? It kind of fits that sort of sound, but with Jeremy Spencer, though, it's hard to say because he was always big with the send-ups and the the sort of the mock-ups of classic '50s stuff, the way he used to perform it in concerts. So who knows if he was sending up disco or even sending up Fleetwood Mac in the late '70s? It's hard to say, but. Side one, not so much. Side two, not too bad. So with the sleeve's in a little bit of rough shape there, but on Atlantic. But Jeremy Spencer Band. And I couldn't believe I picked this up. This is Country Joe and the Fish, Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die on Vanguard Records. Now, when this album was first released, it included sort of like a poster game, or a game that was like on a poster. So you would often see that on the cover. This, I believe, is just a later pressing on Vanguard Records. This is a Canadian pressing through Phonodisc. But I picked this album up for $5, and it's in great shape. I couldn't believe it, because usually, especially Country Joe, this period of Country Joe and the Fish, usually these albums go for a pretty penny. But it's on the great Vanguard label, but this album is in great shape. I couldn't believe it. Okay, Black Oak, Arkansas. This is their album, 10-Year Overnight Success. That's a great title. It's got kind of nice raised lettering on the cover. Interesting, this first song is the track when the band was singing Shakin' All Over, and that is a Guess Who song. That's a later Guess Who song, not to be confused with the Guess Who's cover of Shakin' All Over. That's this song kind of looks back at the Guess Who career, if you will. But yeah, I was surprised to see that Black Oak, Arkansas, covering the Guess Who on this. And it's another, rockin' Black Oak, Arkansas album. This includes the lyric sheet and on great MCA Rainbow label. Interesting how many rainbow labels there are. Okay, Madness. I try to grab Madness. I don't often see a lot of Madness records in this area for whatever reason. Another great album from the band. I don't know if this is missing. I imagine this is missing the original sleeve, but happy to pick this up. And this on Geffen, and this came out in 1984. Great, great, great band, Madness. For whatever reason, I don't know why, I've been avoiding Robert Plant's solo stuff. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a Led Zeppelin thing or if I feel it just doesn't measure up, even though it does measure up in many ways, especially the stuff that Robert Plant's doing now, I think is really, really good. In terms of his solo stuff. But this, I believe, is his first solo record, Pictures at 11, if I'm not mistaken. His early stuff, he still wanted the hits, if you will, so it was pretty radio friendly, but still, Robert Plant's wonderful voice and, generally good productions. Kind of 80s production, but not too bad. This came out in 1982, so this has the original sleeve. And even on CD, I don't have much Robert Plant solo stuff. I love his album with Alison Krauss, which is absolutely fantastic. I wish he would do another album with Alison Krauss, but I forgot that this was released on Swan Song as well, the early stuff. But Robert Plant, and I don't know why I've been avoiding his solo stuff, but finally took the plunge and get over that. How about Grace Slick? Speaking of solo stuff, this came out in 1980. This is the album called Dreams, and this one is missing the original inner sleeve. Interesting album. This came out in 1980, but it doesn't sound like an 80s album, or it doesn't sound like Starship 80s kind of sound. There's quite a variety of musical styles on this, including the song Seasons, which almost sounds like it could be like Mary Hopkin, Those Were the Days, or a Nana Muscuri singing a song like that. Like there's quite a variety of music on here. It's worth checking out. As I said, the original sleeve is missing, but on RCA. So Grace Slick solo stuff. You never know what you're going to get with Grace Slick, for sure. Okay, another Billy Joel album. Billy Joel's The Bridge. I don't have this on CD, and this one is in the original shrink. With the original hype sticker and original $8.99 price. Nice album. I mean, Matter of Trust is a nice radio hit. Also, Baby Grand, beautiful song with Ray Charles. And Cyndi Lauper is also featured on this as well. And this just, of course, includes the original inner sleeve. And on Columbia. Okay, still more to come. How are we doing here? How about the Pogues? Recently, I picked up the Pogues at BBC Sessions from Record Store Day Drop. I haven't had a chance to listen to that, but picked up the Pogues at Peace and Love, and this is from 1989. And this includes the Love, the inner sleeve on that one. And on again the Island label, and I do love the Island label. They're so creative with their ideas. The way the buildings look like a palm tree, they're very cool. Love the Pogues. Okay, this was a Value Village or thrift store find. Chad and Jeremy. This is a monocopy of the album Distant Shores, and this is on Columbia. Interesting that this has the song Homeward Bound, which of course the Simon & Garfunkel song, but I do believe they were the first to have a recorded version of it, even before Simon & Garfunkel. Also a cover of Early Morning Rain, the Gordon Lightfoot song on here. So I was pretty happy to pick this up. So Chad and Jeremy on the Columbia 2i. So that was a really nice find, and on mono too. It's really nicely produced. Okay, there are so many Foghat albums. This is a nice one. This is Foghat Stone Blue. They do a really nice cover of Sweet Home Chicago on this one. But another solid Foghat album. And this is actually the original sleeve because it does have the number here, which corresponds to the album. So Stone Blue and pretty much a straightforward blue inner sleeve. But of course on the great Bearsville label. But Foghat, You know, they have so many albums, but they're all pretty solid for the most part. Okay, an early Grand Funk Railroad best of that's called Mark, Don, and Mel, 1969 to 1971. I'm a big fan of Grand Funk. I just think they've just got a great, great sound, and this is a double best of. I just think, yeah, they had just a great sound, great rockin' band. This includes the original interesting inner sleeves and the customized label. And check out the other sleeve here. Love the newspaper clippings. And there we go. So, yeah, early Grand Funk. So, you know, pre 1971. Okay, how about Hall and Oates? And the album is Bigger Than Both of Us. And this is kind of the transition years where they're kind of moving from the soul, blue-eyed soul that they were doing into the pop stuff. This one features the song Rich Girl, which is still pretty soulful. But yeah, you could just, when you listen to this album, you could just kind of tell things are starting to change a little bit in terms of the sound. I remember when this album first came out, I always thought this was cool. Wow, they got Ritz crackers on the tables there. I thought that was cool when I was a kid. And this does include the, I believe it includes the lyric insert. And how 70s is that writing there? Daryl Hall, John Oates. And even the customized label there too. But boy, the hits would start coming after this, in big time for this group for sure, for Hall & Oates. Okay, I remember when this album came out and people were scratching their heads. This is Neil Young and Crazy Horse and Reactor. I think this might be the last one on Reprise for a while, when then he switched over to Geffen. Again, when Neil Young's with Crazy Horse, it's generally always a good thing. But I remember when this album came out, it's an odd record, and you know, certainly some odd lyrics, but you know, in retrospect, it's not a bad album at all, you know. But at the time, I know people were going, oh, what is this? And but then Neil Young, every album would have people scratching their heads, because each album after this on Geffen would be a different musical genre that you know, people weren't taking too kindly at the time, shall we say. But hindsight is 2020. But yeah, still a good, you know, rocking enough album. But I remember, boy, oh boy, people were scratching their heads over that one at least at one time. Okay, how about the album, a band I wasn't really familiar with, Wild Turkey and Battle Hymn. Now, if you know Jethro Tull, you'll know the bass player, the original bass player from Jethro Tull, this fellow Glenn Cornick, who left or got kicked out of Jethro Tull, would go on to form this band. Kind of a rock band, but still kind of folk rock. Worth picking up. Not a stellar album, but certainly very enjoyable. This came in its original sleeve. I don't think Wild Turkey released too many albums. They had just a few albums. They just, you know, just didn't really make it on any big level, but worth checking out. Wild Turkey and Battle Hymn. So yeah, happy to pick up that one. Okay, I think it was Chris Profi on Instagram who showed this album. He had a cassette version of this album with the sort of original cover, which is kind of like a snake, a kind of a creepy looking snake. This is the alternate cover for Uriah Heep. The album is Innocent Victim. I think I prefer the snake cover a little bit more, although they have the snake idea just than a photo of the band. I believe that this is the North American cover, but you know, Uriah Heep, always a rockin' band from start to finish. And on Warner, Uriah Heep. But yeah, he had a cassette copy, I believe, of that. Okay, let's talk about Woodstock 2. Not, of course, the second Woodstock concert. There's been three of them, Woodstock 1, 2, and 3. This is the second in the soundtrack. So there was the original Woodstock soundtrack, and then they released another one. So this is a 2-album set. It's a trifold with more performances. Many of their artists that were featured on the first one. It's interesting. There were so many bands at the original Woodstock 1969 that they could have, the second issue or the second release could have featured all the artists they didn't feature, but they carried on with Jimi Hendrix, also Jefferson Airplane. Paul Butterfield Blues Band is featured on this one. Joan Baez, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. You've got Mountain Canned Heat with Woodstock Boogie at 13 minutes, which is just, I love that track. But and it's interesting. I like the trifold. It kind of shows the aftermath of the concert. I thought that was quite clever. But yeah, there you go. And this song, I've always loved this label. I don't know what it is about this label. Continent label. I just think is really cool for whatever reason. But yeah, Woodstock 2. Okay, early Chicago is always a good thing. And this is a Chicago 5. And again, there's no song listings or anything like that on the cover. But whenever it's a Chicago with Terry Kath is always a good thing. So this one, again, you're starting to get a few more hits happening with Saturday in the Park, also a Dialogue Part 1 and 2. But another great Chicago album. I do have a fair bit of Chicago on CD. But this is a single album because a lot of the Chicago early stuff are all like double albums. I do love the custom label on this. But yeah, Chicago 5. When there's Rory, you grab Rory Gallagher. This is Rory Gallagher and Calling Card, another rockin' one. And this one came out on Chrysalis. But yeah, whenever I don't see Rory Gallagher too much. I think everybody's on the Rory Gallagher bandwagon that recognize what a great guitarist, great blues artist, great rock blues artist that he was. And his albums are getting a little bit harder to find, although they're still out there. And this one produced by Roger Glover from Deep Purple, which is pretty cool. Another great Rory Gallagher record. Okay, and we have another Chicago record. I do love this cover because this one features, of course, the cow tipping over the oil lamp, which is supposedly started the Great Chicago Fire. This one is a Chicago 7, and then going back to the double album, and I do love the gatefold there. And this one, features the original sleeves, and these sleeves are just really nice. It may be hard to see the way these aren't the lyrics, but these are who plays on each track. It's just got kind of a nice look to it overall. And again, the custom label for Chicago, which is really nice. So, and this has kind of almost the slightly raised lettering on it. But again, any Chicago with Terry Kath is always a good thing for sure. Worth checking out for sure. Nazareth. I know I picked up a big Nazareth box set recently. Most of the albums on that box set are on CD, so this is Nazareth, Malice in Wonderland. I do love this chaotic cover. That is just crazy what's going on there. Hard rockin' Scottish band. And on A&M Records. Okay, and maybe just one or two more. We'll wrap things up. Magna Carta. I picked this up. I'm not a huge fan of this band. They are kind of folk rock, but a little bit more folk. I do love the cover. This is a Roger Dean cover. So Roger Dean, of course, did all the great Yes album covers and also covers for Steve Hackett. But lovely cover. The album's okay. I know Magna Carta definitely has some fans out there. I do love the label on this. I can't remember if I've shown this one before. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But do love the classic Vertigo label. That is so cool. But Magna Carta, I don't know. Maybe I have to get into this band maybe a little bit more. Check out some of their other albums. But I was a little disappointed. I mean, it's they feature some stuff from a Scottish BBC TV series, Castle in the Air. But yeah, maybe I have to explore that one a little bit more. And I picked up the Faces. I have seen this like forever, and I've just never picked it up. Rod Stewart, Faces Live, Coast to Coast, Overture, and Beginners. So this is Rod Stewart, of course, and the Faces live in concert. This would be one of their last albums together, featuring Cut Across Shorty. Also, they're doing, Rod Stewart's Every Picture Tells a Story. So again, it's getting really into that. Is Rod Stewart with the group or without the group sort of thing? And this is when Ronnie Lane had already left the band. But a nice album. I mean, it's a nice live album. They also do the John Lennon song Jealous Guy on here. Yeah, I've seen this album forever, but I just never picked it up until now. So I was pretty happy to pick this up on Mercury. So, of course, Rod Stewart and the Faces Live, Coast to Coast, Overture, and Beginners, with a very interesting cover. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for dropping by, and we will certainly chat again really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.